Xbox promoted State of Decay 3 and Senua on June 7th. Then later reporting claimed it was already exploring ways to sell, shrink, or separate the studios making them. How can Xbox promise these games are coming, when it may not even keep the teams responsible for finishing them? 4 studios and roughly 435 possible jobs may be exposed, although Microsoft has not officially confirmed that every team is closing. Still, Xbox already admitted that its studio system became overextended, so these reports did not emerge from empty internet panic. GamesBeat and Jez Corden later named Undead Labs among the developers reportedly facing a sale, reduction, or possible closure. Significantly, this detail matters because the newest report connects a newly showcased game directly to Microsoft's financial retreat. Importantly, Undead Labs is the newest name, making this more than recycled Ninja Theory speculation. So here is what Xbox confirmed, what reporters actually found, what remains uncertain, and what this could mean for games already advertised. First, look at Undead Labs because State of Decay 3 gives the story its clearest contradiction. During the June 7th showcase, Xbox presented the game as a major 2027 release with active player testing underway. Official material said development had reached an alpha stage, cooperative systems were being tested, and wider testing would follow. Alpha simply means the game is playable but unfinished, unstable, and dependent on the same team continuing difficult work. Losing key developers during that stage can delay systems, erase internal knowledge, and force replacements to learn code and tools they did not create. Replacing people during alpha is not like changing a logo. New staff must understand unfinished systems while deadlines continue moving. Weeks later, reports said Undead Labs could be among the studios Microsoft wants to sell, reduce, or close. Publicly, Microsoft appears confident enough to show gameplay, collect wish lists, and promote future tests, while reports leave the developer's future uncertain. Maybe an outside buyer purchases the studio together with State of Decay 3 and keeps the same team working. Alternatively, Microsoft could retain the franchise, sell the company without it, reduce the workforce, or move development elsewhere. Another possibility would let Microsoft sell the studio while paying it to complete the current game through a separate publishing agreement. Each option carries risk because games do not transfer cleanly when people, tools, leadership, budgets, contracts, and ownership change together. Outsiders cannot know which route is real, so the worst outcome is not confirmed. Nevertheless, the zombies currently appear to have better long-term job security than the people programming them. Next, consider Ninja Theory, where the timing creates a different problem. Every future trailer now carries doubt about the studio itself. At that same showcase, Xbox revealed Senua, a larger action-adventure with broader exploration, stronger combat, and additional puzzles. Barely more than a week afterward, reports said Ninja Theory was discussing its future while possible buyers entered the picture. Crucially, Jason Schreier disputed claims that the studio had already been fully closed, making completed funeral headlines inaccurate. Senua is not waiting on a store shelf, it still needs stable development, funding, leadership, and time. Negotiations could produce several outcomes, while even a successful sale might delay production through staff departures, contract talks, or changing budgets. Regardless, every future Senua trailer now carries a second question: does this developer have a future? Apparently, announcing the game was easy. Explaining who will finish it may require another presentation. Now, widen the picture beyond those 2 projects. Reporting identified Double Fine, Undead Labs, Compulsion Games, and Ninja Theory, with possible exposure near 435 workers. Estimates place 100 people at Double Fine, 110 at Undead Labs, 90 at Compulsion, and 135 at Ninja Theory. Those changing headcounts make the total a rough ceiling, not 435 confirmed dismissals. Exposure does not mean every job vanishes, but hundreds of livelihoods may depend on negotiations workers cannot control. Accuracy matters because a threatened position is not a confirmed dismissal, but uncertainty can still push experienced workers to leave early. Executives prefer restructuring because saying workers may pay for leadership mistakes sounds unpleasant beside an earnings chart. Meanwhile, developers did not approve the acquisitions or strategy changes, yet management sends the bill downward with excellent presentation graphics. Here is where the boring corporate numbers explain the panic. According to Xbox's June 10th reset message, the division spent more than $20 billion over 5 years on content, platforms, and hardware support. Notably, that total excluded Activision Blizzard King, so the largest acquisition was not included inside this particular calculation. Despite the spending, Annual revenue outside Activision reportedly declined by nearly $500 million during the same period. Leadership also said its accountability margin stood near 3%, meaning Xbox reported very little margin after accounting for the division's costs. Simply put, Xbox spent heavily, earned less than expected, and now has little room for projects that cannot justify their costs. Real budget pressure exists, and every publisher must judge costs, schedules, sales, and value. However, Microsoft bought aggressively, promised stability, changed direction repeatedly, then acted surprised when ownership required patience. Previously, spending $20 billion counted as long-term strategy, while keeping the purchased developers now risks being labeled irresponsible. Separately, Microsoft has not shown the sales goals, budgets, costs, or forecasts used to judge these studios. Without those figures, confident claims about obvious commercial failure are guesses dressed as accounting. Therefore, nobody outside the company can honestly claim that every team succeeded, every team failed, or every decision lacks financial logic. Smaller studios make riskier games, and unusual projects may sell modestly, take longer, or struggle to support growing operating costs. Knowing a studio makes unusual games does not mean Microsoft must approve every budget forever. Yet that knowledge does mean management cannot pretend surprise when creative projects carry commercial risk. Double Fine proves the point because its identity was never hidden behind a realistic military shooter costume. Following Keeper in October 2025, the studio released Kiln on April 23, 2026. Marketing promoted Kiln as a creative multiplayer pottery brawler and supported it with testing, launch coverage, and planned updates. Current reporting says Double Fine has explored independence, a possible buyback, or an outside sale while uncertainty hangs over its future. Fans were told Microsoft ownership would protect creative freedom. Absurdly, the reward may now be negotiating an escape. Buying the weird art studio and complaining that it remained weird is not discipline. It is executive amnesia with legal paperwork. Compulsion Games serves a different purpose, because South of Midnight already shipped. After release, several employees reportedly began publicly searching for new work as restructuring fears grew. Schreier said leadership allowed staff to look openly because cuts appeared likely, while clarifying that layoffs had not occurred at that point. Later reports suggested reductions may have started, but Microsoft still offered no clear public explanation of the studio's final shape. Plainly, finishing a game does not guarantee safety for the team that built it. Either way, employees updating professional profiles before a full announcement does not resemble healthy transparency. Practically, it resembles a smoke alarm wearing a company badge, while management debates whether the building officially counts as burning. Forum users split between blaming Microsoft and blaming weak sales, but many sound exhausted by rumors and silence. Pause here, because this is no longer four separate studio stories. Together, they reveal one pattern. Xbox showcased the output, admitted the portfolio was overextended, and reportedly searched for somebody else to carry the studios. Outside buyers may preserve jobs, but they could also cut staff, cancel projects, or demand safer games. One deal might include the studio and franchise only the workforce, a publishing contract, or Microsoft moving development elsewhere. Publishing support could preserve development for now, although it would not guarantee the same budget, staff, or long-term ownership. More importantly, what exactly is Undead Labs without State of Decay, or Ninja Theory without Senua? These are not minor legal details because a studio name without its people, tools, or characters can become an empty shell. Worse, Microsoft could keep the valuable content while selling the humans who created that value. Under that model, Xbox bought studios to secure games, then secured margins by separating those games from their makers. Buyer negotiations are only the immediate story, because the larger contradiction sits inside Xbox's official strategy. Its reset message says the platform still needs a reliable pipeline of first-party exclusives and new intellectual property. Simultaneously, the same company admits it expanded too far and may now reduce studios known for making original games. Evidently, Xbox wants more unique releases while becoming increasingly nervous about the expensive people required to create anything unique. Large franchises offer safer forecasts, while creative teams become harder to defend when margins dominate. Reasonably, no studio deserves endless money, but Microsoft must own the consequences of promising that scale would protect these teams. You cannot celebrate variety during a showcase, demand blockbuster economics afterward, and act shocked when the numbers refuse to match. For players, this is also a warning that trailers, roadmaps, testing plans, and release windows mean less when the studio behind them becomes negotiable weeks later. This issue is not merely whether one game gets delayed. It is whether Xbox showcase announcements represent funded plans or temporary marketing intentions. Showcases should sell confidence in the future, not merely advertise projects before the next financial review. Trailers prove that marketing exists, they do not prove that the studio behind them has secure funding. Essentially, Xbox risks producing more original announcements, fewer original developers, and louder showcases covering a shrinking foundation. Consequently, 4 studios remain trapped between public promises and private financial pressure. Possibly buyers appear and more jobs survive, perhaps other studios remain inside Xbox with smaller teams. Until official announcements arrive, nobody should present closures, sales, or job losses as settled outcomes. Irrespective of the final outcome, Microsoft cannot outsource responsibility for building the system that placed them in danger. Uncertainty alone can damage production before any sale or public announcement is made. No matter what the final deals produce, that responsibility began with executives, not artists updating their RA summaries before an announcement. Workers did not decide to spend $20 billion, build a crowded portfolio, subsidize hardware, or promise that scale solved everything. Developers did not design the acquisition spree, yet they may become the easiest expense to remove from tomorrow's presentation. Ultimately, Microsoft did not suddenly discover these studios were expensive. Instead, it discovered that executive mistakes are cheaper to solve when somebody else loses the job. Which option causes less damage? Microsoft keeping these studios, selling them with their games, or admitting it should never have bought them?